Robin, I learned along the way with the long course of your illness and recovery that there was quite a story shaping up here about what God had done. And as I recall, it began last winter with the flu. So tell us what happened.
Um, February 20th, I wasn't feeling well, and I hadn't been feeling well over the weekend. And so I called the doctor, and I went in, and so he gave me a flu test. And I tested positive for the flu test. And he said I had to wait the flu out because since my symptoms started on Friday, that it was too late to give me the Tamiflu, and sent me home.
So you went home with the expectation of just toughing it out for several days with the flu. But then, as I recall, things kept getting worse.
I kept getting worse, and Ellen Andrusia called me on Thursday to see how I was doing, and I told her that I was feeling worse and that I had this really bad pain in my stomach. And at that time, she said, well, we're going to pray for you. And she called in your beautiful bride, and she called in Sherry Burgum, and the three of them prayed for me. At the end of the prayer, Sarah said, I'm concerned about how weak you sound. And so she suggested that I go and get some fluids, and she thought that that would make me feel better. And I said, okay. And Sarah came back and she said, no, I need you to promise that you're going to go and get some fluids done and call one of us and we'll come and take you. Okay, I promised. I hung the phone up and I immediately went to the bathroom. I was sick again. And I said to the Lord, I promised her that I would get fluids. What I didn't do was call them back. I drove myself.
Oh, that's too funny.
So I drove myself.
But you made it. You actually made it.
Yeah. I made it. By the grace of God, I made it to the emergency room. I did.
Okay. And then they started tests and realized there was more going on than the flu.
There was a whole lot more going on than the flu. Yes.
And as I recall, they discovered that you had a blocked bile duct that required surgery, and you were very, very ill by then.
I was very ill. Therefore, my liver and my kidneys were unable to function the way that they were supposed to. They could not filter out the toxins that I was literally being poisoned by myself.
Okay. So they're discovering this. You're too sick to know what's going on. But after the surgery, at some point, the doctor came in and started looking at your chart. Mm-hmm. And that's when you learned how close you had come.
How close I had come to joining the Lord.
Okay.
The doctor was reading the numbers, and he was saying, we look for the liver function to be at 59, and yours was functioning at 889. And he said, we looked for the kidneys to be somewhere around 50-something, and I was way over that. And then he went on to something else, and then he just stopped midway, and he turned to me, and he said, if you don't mind my asking, what brought you here? And at that time, I realized that, wow, it was really bad. So I told him about the conversation with Sarah, and his response to me was, it's a good thing that she spoke into that, because had she not, it would have been too late. And I said, I was just waiting out the flu. And he said, you didn't have time to wait out the flu. Okay. Had you waited, you would not be here.
Wow. So the Lord used this interesting combination of some friends praying for you and then someone pressing you to get treatment, as we see now, prompted by God to press you. Mm-hmm. Because she didn't know and you didn't know how close to death's door you were.
No.
And then the good doctors and the nurses and so on, their gifts were used by God to bring the healing. And it wasn't too late.
Yes, wasn't too late.
Wow.
Wasn't too late. I learned that what I had was definitely life-threatening.
Well, we're glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here.